Hello, welcome back to Mountain Gym Card Collectibles. Hope your week is going awesome so far. So, I know that this has been on the sports card radar for quite some time, and I want to touch on it too and share my feelings on this issue with this partnership between PSA and Backyard Breaks. Dealing with this fallout from Grant Telford, who is tied in with Backyard Breaks, and him saying some of the most toxic things imaginable about underage girls, which honestly, I'm not sure how he's still, doing what he's doing, other than I just feel like the sports card hobby tends to worship materialism over morality. Now, there's no shortage of videos on this issue on YouTube. I mean, everyone's raising a red flag on Grant Telford and Backyard Breaks. They've done videos. I'm looking at something from, Jeff Wilson, Dan the Card Man, Opossum Bud. I mean, there's just no shortage of people really, dealing with this whatnot PSA Backyard Break scandal. And everyone's asking themselves why PSA would partner up with Backyard Breaks. Yeah, they have in the past. But clearly PSA worships breakers more than your general collector. And that becomes quite clear about PSA's involvement with Grant Telford and Backyard Breaks. Now, here's a great article from Cardlines that really gets into, all the scandals, that Backyard Breaks has been involved in, besides, this issue with Grant Telford. But when you ask yourself, and you weigh the scales of materialism versus morality, in sports cards, for one reason, the scale's always heavy for materialism, because that's all about the sports card. It's all about collecting the autograph, whatever. Unfortunately, morality has gone by the wayside for the most part with a lot of the collectors, investors, whatever. Is it just a sign of the times? It very well could be, during our current political age. But it's still troubling, just like this headline says, why the PSA and Backyard Breaks partnership is so troubling. And I'll just kind of scan down this article, highlight some of the finer points of this issue. And let's see, this came out on May 27th, 2025. It was written by Shael Ben Ephraim, or Frame. And, this is from Cardlines. I said that earlier. The sports card hobby has been on a fast track toward legitimacy, has been drawing big money investors, slick corporate deals, and a thirst for trust and transparency, which you're not going to get that, from Backyard Breaks, to be quite honest. It says here, Backyard Breaks has been at the center of multiple controversies. The most damaging involves co-founder Grant Telford, who made deeply offensive and disturbing comments during a Whatnot livestream. Yeah, I mean, those comments are as toxic as it gets. And all he got was, if anything, a slap on the wrist. I mean, he's still just living his life, maybe even doing better than before. And we see this in the current state of the United States, where villains are being rewarded for doing bad things. Backyard Breaks has a scandal-filled history. I mean, they're bringing up this issue with a Trevor Lawrence Gold Kaboom card that was meant to go to a Twitch user who'd paid $2,500 for it, but Backyard Breaks reversed course, estimated up to be $25,000, and it says here, donate it to charity. Okay. They have issues with their gambling-like mystery pack promotions. Let's see. And then we come to this, in 2024, Backyard Breaks and PSA teamed up for a series of high-profile live break events hosted at PSA's headquarters. All right. So obviously, that's what's opened the gate for why they have their current partnership with Backyard Breaks. And it said here, it also showed PSA's willingness to engage with the growing live break trend, which honestly, if you're going to be a grading company, you have to be objective and not subjective. And let's face it, PSA is clearly being subjective here with Backyard Breaks, which you begin to ask yourself, what is PSA's grading integrity? Do you have to be a breaker to get good grades at PSA? And I believe, I can't prove it, but I believe you do. And I believe that PSA is raising the flag that says that you do. If you want good grades, you're going to have to be a breaker. You have to spend lots and lots and lots of dough with PSA. If you want bad, mediocre grades, just keep on doing what you're doing. That's the message that I get out of this. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my radar is picking up the wrong signal. But that's the message that I get out of this. Maybe you're picking up something else. All right. Preferential grading treatment. Now, here's something, I just brought up. One of the most heated points of contention in the PSA Backyard Breaks relationship has been accusations from the collecting community that PSA shows favoritism in grading cards submitted by Backyard Breaks. And I believe they do. I can't prove it. But my gut instinct says that there's something fishy going on here with PSA breaking companies, and especially Backyard Breaks. So why does PSA have such a lack of morality as well? And, that's for you to decide. They clearly just, they don't care. They've chosen materialism over morality. And that's great. So many sports card people do. I'm building a business currently. I have had opportunities to build a card shop, whatever. My local card shop guy, he doesn't help me out at all. If anything, let's be honest, he kind of takes advantage of me. Takes advantage of my situation, Makes fun of me because I'm not rolling into the store spending thousands of dollars. The guy's not very helpful. And to me, that's just kind of the sports card hobby in general. You're not going to find, the most helpful, kind people involved with it. All they care about is materialism, money, cards. That's about it. For the most part. Yeah, there's a lot of good people. You can watch, a lot of this, these YouTube channels that they've put out episodes where they question this issue too. So here I am just at the Backyard Breaks website. And you can check the Backyard Breaks website out. Why not? Everybody worships materialism in this hobby, right? You can buy yourself some shirts, you can watch some YouTube stuff. Everyone's involved in this. YouTube's involved. You can look at this. Grant on TikTok at Backyard Breaks is on live Monday through Friday on TikTok and Twitch, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. All right. Look at all the companies involved with Backyard Breaks, whether it's YouTube, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Twitch. It just goes on and on. It's not just the sports card hobby embracing the toxicity and, issues with Backyard Breaks. It's so many players. So, yeah, we're all pointing the fingers at PSA. I'm pointing the fingers at PSA. But, if you're going to go down this road, you have to point the fingers at everybody. Is anyone going to sweep this guy off their platform? I don't think they are. Why? Once again, it's just this worship of materialism over morality. I used to do Bible study growing up. I still read the Bible. I still study it. It's what I do. It's the type of person I am, A lot of people never cracked open the Bible. or gotten into religion or morality. But I have. And that's because, guess what? We all don't live forever on planet Earth. When I look at the Grant Telford, Backyard Breaks, PSA, all these other companies who are, linked to, they even have a website on Google, so they're likely probably paying for Google ads, so all these companies are tied to this guy, anyway, it took me to Matthew 7:13 through 14. And I'm not sure if you've heard this. I recommend reading the book of Matthew because it brings up plenty of great points. So anyway, Matthew 7:13 through 14. Jesus contrasts two ways of life using the metaphors of a narrow gate and wide gate. The narrow gate represents a path of genuine sacrificial love from the heart, while the wide gate refers to living with outward righteousness that hides inner corruption. Jesus urges choosing the narrow path of true life. Matthew 7:13 through 14. I'll just read it. And it's written many different ways. And you can read this Bible verse. There's so many different Bibles, but they're all very similar. Enter through the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the way is broad that leads to destruction. And there are many who enter through it. For the gate is small and the way is narrow that leads to life, and there are few who find it. Yeah. So some may argue that, living, a Christian life is very difficult, but then there are many that would argue that, no, it really isn't. You just have to be a good person and choose to do the right things in life. It's that simple. In the realm of sports card and the sports card hobby, that simple matter really becomes gray now, doesn't it? You can't say it doesn't. Because they're always worshiping, wealthy millionaires, billionaires. That's just what the sports card hobby does. The people with the most money have the best cards, whatever. That's just the way it is. I'm not that way. I'm not worshiping, Jeff Wilson or, Ken Golden or, anyone else who's a millionaire. I don't have any interest. For one, I'm not going to be living on the earth forever. So I don't want to be that person, If you want to go through the wide gate, help yourself. I want to go through the narrow gate. And it's just a much more disciplined life, and you are who you are. And sports cards in general, the community, the hobby is rolling on through that wide gate, I wish they weren't. I wish that they would, raise a red flag on a lot of these issues in the hobby, all the scam artists, all the fraud, all the just, bad individuals who are involved in the sports card hobby that do bad things that seem to be rewarded for it, But we talk, I just talk about at the end there. It's always that wide gate, If you want to live a disciplined life and do all the right things, I've attempted to do it. You're not going to get many rewards. You're not going to be wealthy. You're not going to be Grant Telford. You're not going to be the Backyard Breaks guys. Backyard Breaks, that they may as well just put a big golden, massive, massively wide, like an interstate freeway gate up. Everyone's welcome in Backyard Breaks with all their horrid ideologies and worship of materialism, but it's going to get you where it gets you, so it is what it is. Do you have any different opinions on this issue? If you do, leave some comments. I don't understand why sports card enthusiasts worship people the way they do and worship objects the way they do. I just like to collect the cards I like to collect. I like to flip them. I just enjoy doing it, I don't have a big website. I don't have a big breaking company. I'm not someone who would talk about underage girls in that manner ever. And I never have been that individual, So what can the hobby do to exorcise itself of its demons? Well, you can start to boycott the companies that are involved with these type of individuals. Good luck, because it's a massive hobby. I mean, you could get, maybe a couple countries to boycott them, but you still have other countries that go, no, we're all in, we don't care, They don't care about, morality. They rather just worship materialism. But it would just be nice to clean up the hobby, wouldn't it? Wouldn't you just like to see it before you pass away in this life? Just to see it cleaned up. Lifting up people who should be lifted up, and, pushing down people who should obviously be getting pushed down. But it is what it is. And overall, it feels like the sports card hobby is going through that wide gate that Jesus talks about in the Bible. It is what it is. So anyway, I'd like to thank my subscribers. Thank you for watching this channel. You're the reason I keep doing it. If you're a viewer and if you haven't subscribed, all you have to do is click that button. It's 100% free. And I can continue to improve the channel. And I won't always have to work for Google and YouTube for free. Anyway, hope you have a great day. I'm out of here. Bye.